His tactics employed on the Dutch was so successful that he was able to eliminate many of their top generals. And when he was captured, they decapitated him and decided to study his brain and see how his brain functions, because the tactics that he employed on the Dutch was so successful that with this small number of forces, he was able to disorganize the forces of the Dutch. He was able to employ the attack and retreats, attack and defend tactics, and it was successful. He resisted the expansion of Dutch colonial ambition towards his kingdom. When he was being captured, his kingdom, Ahanta, will later fall into the Dutch, and the Dutch will make it one of their colonies. In the early 19th century, a legendary king was born in the kingdom of the Ahanta, present-day Ghana. At the mention of his name, the Dutch trembles and panic in fear, because this king will lead series of attacks on the Dutch, preventing the expansion of the Dutch into his kingdom and to his coast. This king will lead series of rebellion against the Dutch, and this series of rebellion, he was all successful. This made the Dutch panic in fear. Whenever they hear his name, they decided to track him down, but he was so fierce that the plans of the Dutch were all in vain. Today, our story that we are coming to uncover seems quite unusual as compared to our various stories, because this story has a twist turn and it's very interesting one. So if you have all ears, hear me out. This king was born in the kingdom of Ahanta, present-day Ghana. His name was King Badu Bonsu, number 2 of the Ahantas. He was the next in line to be king. He was homeschooled on how to be king, how to be a great leader, and how to be a great warrior. When he grew up to be king, all this education paid off by leading series of attacks on the Dutch residing on the coast of West Africa, preventing them from further exploring his kingdom. King Badu Bonsu number 2 was born around 1800 in the Ahanta Kingdom, a powerful and prosperous empire in what is now Ghana. As a member of the royal family, he received a traditional education and training in leadership and in warfare and even in diplomacy. In 1835, King Badu Bonsu number 2 ascended to the throne after the death of his predecessor. He inherited a kingdom facing threats from European colonization, particularly the Dutch. Determined to protect his people and sovereignty, he prepared for the challenges ahead. And in preparation, he did, and he prepared very well, because he knows what was ahead and what will be coming into his kingdom. So he was all set for the uncertainty. The Dutch, seeking to expand their colonial empire, launched a series of military campaigns against the Ahanta Kingdom and small city-states along the West African coast. King Badu Bonsu refused to surrender, leading his people in a fierce resistance. He employed guerrilla warfare tactics, ambushes, and raids against the Dutch forces. There were once the Dutch sent emissaries to King Badu Bonsu seeking for peace. But he told them that if you want peace, you must fight for it. Peace is not given freely. It's something that you must work out for and fight dearly for it. But when he told them this, they found out that they are not dealing with a normal, regular person, but they are dealing with someone who is ready and ever ready to resist their colonial expansion. The Ahantas were an ethnic group living in the Ahanta Kingdom, located in present-day Ghana. They were proud and powerful people with a rich culture and tradition. The Ahantas were part of the Akan ethnic groups, which includes other tribes such as the Ashanti of Ghana, the Fanti people of Ghana, and the Baole people from Côte d'Ivoire. The Ahantas were skilled farmers and fishermen, craftsmen living off the land and sea. They were of matrilineal society. Ahanta people were matrilineal. They belonged to a matrilineal society. The Ahanta people, like the other Akan groups, are matrilineal. That means property and inheritance are passed down through the maternal line. They have rich cultural heritage with a strong form of tradition. The Ahanta Kingdom was rich in gold, ivory, and other valuable resources. The Dutch sought to exploit these resources for their own economic gain. The Ahanta people were having strategic location. The Ahanta Kingdom was located on the coast of West Africa, providing access to Atlantic Ocean and trade routes. The Dutch wanted to control this trade route. Getting this strategic location could expand their colonial empire. The Dutch also sought to capture the Ahanta Kingdom to exploit its people for slavery and labor. The Ahanta people were skilled farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, making them valuable assets for Dutch plantations and industries. The Dutch also wanted to capture them for colonial expansion. The Dutch were competing with other European powers such as the British, French, and Portuguese for colonial dominance in West Africa. Capturing the Ahanta Kingdom would give the Dutch a foothold in the region and expand their colonial empire. He read the mind of the Dutch. For that, he was ready for them. He knew where to get them and where to attack. With his guerrilla tactics, he was very successful. In 1836, he led a successful attack on a Dutch trading post, capturing valuable resources and supplies. In 1837, he defeated a Dutch military expedition sent to capture him, earning recognition as a skilled military leader. During this battle, which was termed as Battle of Princestown, in 1837, during the Battle of Princestown, he defeated a Dutch force, KIA'd several soldiers and capturing their weapons. In the same year, in 1837, King Badu Bonsu attacked Fort San Antonio. It was a Dutch fort, KIA'ing several Dutch soldiers and destroying parts of their forts. Also, during the same 1837, he defeated a combined force of Dutch soldiers and local allies, forcing them to retreat. He also captured several Dutch officers in the same 1837. Because he was having smaller forces, he employed the attack and retreat method, and it was so successful. He was so resilient and his forces remained loyal to him. That is why they were able to counterattack several efforts made by the Dutch to capture him. However, in 1938, his last attack on the Dutch was unsuccessful and he will be captured by the Dutch due to his intelligence. However, the Dutch did not understand why this king was so powerful, so fierce, so intelligent in military tactics that they decided to study his brain. They decapitated him and let their surgeon work on his head. They removed his brain to study it and kept his head in a jar. Since 1838, his head has been in a jar. In March 2009, the Dutch signed a deal with the people of Ahanta to return the head of their king, King Badu Bonsu, for them to give him a proper burial. He was the symbol of resistance. Through his resistance, other West African countries and other countries around the world decided to resist slavery, oppression, and the expansion of Western colonial influence.